What up boys, and welcome to my first proper tech video in a little while. If you're new here from the CWA surge that has recently overtaken this channel, these types of videos are sort of what I based my entire channel around. Nowadays we cover more broad topics and strategies so I don't run out of content, but this is really what you should come to expect from subscribing here. So, talking of subscribing, if you haven't already, then be sure to drop a subscription onto the channel to keep up to date when I post these videos. Anyway, Lumberjack is a card I've had on my to-do list for a while now. He sort of sat on the edge of becoming meta for a long time, and so I didn't really want to make a video on him in case he surged. However, I think it is now safe to say that he certainly has. In this video, I'm going to outline the 3 main usages to the Lumberjack. But first, let's get into his statistics so all of that makes sense later on. The Lumberjack's damage starts off at 200, which is only enough to kill ice spirits and goblins. This guy needs 2 shots to take out the likes of princesses and dark goblins, so his base damage output isn't great. His hit speed is where this becomes dangerous, however. Hitting every 0.8 seconds, the Lumberjack's hit speed is very quick, the fastest in the game outside of Expo and Dark Goblin. This really does make up for his low base damage and takes his DPS up to 250. That's slightly more than a Prince and slightly less than 2 entire Mega Knights. And finally, let's talk about his health. It sits at a modest 1060, which is not bad. It does mean that he can be taken out by a rocket, and that heavy hitters dispose of him very well, but he's only 4 elixir, so it's not a huge downside. Now let me talk about those 3 use cases I mentioned at the start of this video. Lumberjack is this high DPS, medium health 4 elixir unit, and because of this he's always struggled with finding his role within decks. However, he has found 3 different roles recently that he fills sorta well, and he has actually been so efficient in these that people have been calling for him to get a nerf. Anyway, what are these 3 roles? I see them as firstly defensive, then the second one being supporting, and finally something I'm going to call run and rage. Let's cover them in that order. So firstly, the defensive role is as simple as you can imagine. It's all about using the Lumberjack to defend oncoming units from getting to your towers with his decent defensive stats. He does very well against other cheap melee units due to his high DPS. He also does well against ranged units. When placed on top of these, he gets a mega advantage and will likely counterattack for you afterwards. Battling against building targeters is one of his best usages due to his high DPS. He is very efficient at sitting there and chopping up a giant for you whenever you may need. He even does okay against swarms due to his fast hit speed, enabling him the ability to take them out fairly efficiently. His only real struggles on defense are against heavy hitters, because his HP isn't too high. For example, he's not an efficient answer to a P.E.K.K.A. or a Prince and will end up dying on defense. Overall, he has very solid interactions and only struggles against units with high base damage. And that's why he's able to have an entire role in decks solely defined by his ability to defend and then maybe pose a small counter-attacking threat. However, you've probably seen him mostly in the supporting role. Beatdown decks like Golem prosper from high DPS cards like the Lumberjack for 2 reasons. Firstly, this card will follow behind the Golem and start attacking any defending units, whilst the Golem's large HP pool protects the Lumberjack from harm. Secondly, when the Golem reaches the tower, the Lumberjack can weigh his huge 250 DPS onto the tower. A lone Lumberjack will just take 11 seconds to chop down a tower, so this DPS on a push is truly immense. Playing the Lumberjack in this role is the easiest and most basic way to play him. All you actually need to do is just place him behind a tank and let him go wild. Now this final role I've called Rage and Run in my script, and that's because his final role is all about something we're yet to discuss about this card, his Rage spell. It is sort of odd that we haven't discussed it yet because it is literally the reason that the Lumberjack is a legendary card. The role is essentially just playing your Lumberjack to tank for a push. We see this happen most often with balloon pushes. The Lumberjack's moderate HP provides the balloon extra time to float over to the tower without taking any damage from it. Then, once the Lumberjack's HP runs out, the balloon gains a much needed speed and DPS boost from that pesky rage spell. A further extension of this role is to be using him to tank for other cheaper win conditions, such as Hog Riders or Goblin Barrels or whatever you fancy using in your decks. And yeah boys, that's all I have for my tech of the Lumberjack. He's a pretty basic card with no real unique features. Of course he has his rage spell, but that is literally just a card in the game already and doesn't really have too many usages. Once again, if you did enjoy today's video, then be sure to leave a subscription and whatnot. It helps the channel out immensely. But apart from that, thank you all for watching, and peace.